following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with a special video of a special Transformers action figure. And one thing I wanted to clarify is that in my review of Slammer, I had said that Slammer was the last deluxe class figure to be released in the Kingdom line. And that is technically true. Slammer was the last deluxe figure to be directly released in the Kingdom line under Kingdom packaging, but technically there is still one more deluxe class figure that we have to look at that technically is part of the Transformers Kingdom line. However, it was released in the Generation Selects line. Alright, so without further delay, let's take a look at the final Fossilizer that I have reviewed on my channel. It is the Transformers Cybertron Trilogy Generation Selects Hasbro Pulse exclusive Tricranius Beast Power figure, or just Tricranius as I'm going to call him throughout the rest of the review. So this figure here in the United States, Tricranius is one of, if you include the tiny little core class figures of Vertebrake and Dracodon, Tricranius is the final of 8 Fossilizers that was released under the War for Cybertron Trilogy banner. And here in the United States, Tricranius was released exclusively on Hasbro Pulse. So out of all the Fossilizers, out of all 8 of them, Tricranius is arguably has been the hardest of the 8 Fossilizers to obtain, even harder so than the Netflix spoiler pack Excalibur Fossilizer that I reviewed a few weeks ago. Oh, and in other countries, Tricranius has been more readily available, but if you don't shop on Hasbro's website, Hasbro Pulse, the only other website where you can get Tricranius at a decent price, which is where I got my copy, is off of eBay. So by all accounts, with my own experiences, Tricranius has been the most difficult of the Fossilizers to obtain. So here on the top of the box, you've got the War for Cybertron Trilogy logo, and oddly enough, even though Tricranius, as you can tell here by the sticker on the box, that he is a part of the Generation Selects line, to acknowledge that Tricranius is a part of the Kingdom line and that he is a special exclusive figure, Hasbro decided to give Tricranius a special box. So unlike the ordinary run-of-the-mill Generation Selects box that I'm pointing at back there, there's nothing on top of it so I can grab it. So this is a box I've had for a while. This is actually the box of another Fossilizer, Transmutate. So for a quick comparison, here's a standard Generation Selects box, and here is Tricranius' box. So unlike a normal War for Cybertron Trilogy Generation Selects box, which you have a black Autobot logo, some Cybertronian writing, and that looks like it's been spray painted on the box and the paint's dripping off it, and the War for Cybertron Trilogy logo on the top and the bottom, and the only distinction on the boxes has been the name of the character on the sealing sticker that seals the figure inside of it. Here on Tricranius' box, you've got, instead of an Autobot logo, you've got the Maximal logo here on the box. And again, it's part of the War for Cybertron Trilogy. There's a type of primate I made. I believe it's supposed to be a monkey. It's kind of hard to tell since it's a outline shadow, but I think that's a tail hanging off the back. And again, you got a tree covered in vines, some plants, ants here on the ground. And I think it would have been more appropriate if instead of a monkey on the top of the box, they had a prehistoric creature on there to show that Tricranius is walking in a prehistoric jungle here on the box. But since that's a primate on the top of the box, it's a jungle in more recent times. So it looks like Tricranius is a character from the Beast Wars series, the moment in Earth's history when the Beast Wars Transformers characters time traveled from the future back to the past to stop Beast Wars Megatron from carrying out his plans. So yeah, Tricranius has a much more intricate box, and it's also slightly wider than Transmutate's box. I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me grab it again. Putting it on top this time. I thought it was a little wider at first. Here on top, it's here on the width of it, it's a hairline longer than a normal Generation Selects box. Is for a deluxe figure, and that's because along with the Tricranius figure itself, you get a whole bunch of accessory pieces. So without further delay, let's get Tricranius freed from his packaging and take a close look at him in the box. So, right when you open up the flap of the box, you've got the Cybertron Trilogy logo plastered all over this place. So, if there's any doubt as to which series Tricranius is supposed to be a part of, he is a part of the Cybertron Trilogy Kingdom line. And when you open up the box itself, here we've got the Tricranius right there. He is a repaint and slight retool of Kingdom Ractonite. There's only one sculpted part that's different between Tricranius and Ractonite, and I'll show that off in a moment, but here's Tricranius. Here on the inside flap of the box, if there's any doubt that this figure was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive figure here in the United States, you've got this intricate artwork here on the inside of Tricranius' box. All the Transformers figures that have been a special edition released figures have gotten artwork on the inside of the box, but the standard Generation Selects figures haven't had this type of artwork on the inside of the box. Because again, the only indication as to what character you got was the sticker with the name on it. The Generation Selects line for the Transformers Legacy line, the packaging is getting much more intricate and you now have an image of the characters that are on the boxes. So that's some really nice artwork there of Ractonite in his robot mode. So had Ractonite been released directly in the Transformers Kingdom line with the other fossilizers, I personally think that would have been the type of artwork we would have seen on the box. So you've got Ractonite with some firing a blast effect out of his what's actually supposed to be his right hand, because unfortunately Tricranius and Ractonite, this mold has no actual fists or hands. In robot mode, it's just a pair of 5mm pegs. Eggs. It appears that Tricranius is standing at the base of a volcano. So for those of you wondering why Tricranius has this red, orange, yellow, and black volcanic paint layout to him, that's why he's supposed to be a fossilizer that was born out of a volcano. An erupting volcano, going by the artwork there. Some pterodactyls there. It's got some flying debris from the volcano erupting. Looks like meteorite impacts. So yes, Ractonite, it's implied he's from going by this artwork, he was born in a volcanic war zone in prehistoric Earth. So this special box right here, which again has the Cybertron Trilogy logo and the Maximal symbol plastered all over it, this is what makes Tricranius a special edition Transformers figure, because when you open up this box, you've got some. It's actually wrapping tissue paper like you'd use on a birthday present, and inside this tissue paper, rolled up with no actual additional packaging, and it just opened up on me like an egg cracking open. You get a whole bunch of pink and also teal colored blast effects on here. So we'll go over those blast effects in a moment here, setting that off to the side. While it is nice that the blast effects were put in a box, the fact that Hasbro, in an attempt to show that how they're trying to go plastic free on the packaging, saying that they're using tissue paper to wrap up the accessory pieces instead of using tiny cardboard boxes. So when you remove the Tricranius figure itself, you've got the Maximal logo there. It's white on a black background, setting the box off to the side. Here you've got the instruction sheet. And Tricranius, if you guys are wondering, is a heroic Maximal. Well, if you were wondering if he might be a evil Predacon, no, surprisingly, despite his volcanic paint job, Tricranius is, in fact, a Maximal. So here he is inside the cardboard tray that he comes packaged in, and I honestly thought I was never going to get Tricranius and add him to my Transformers collection, but shout out to my two good friends, the judge of Lord Master Starscream and also Ruben Soto. Thanks to the two of them introducing me to the wonderful world of eBay gift cards, I've been able to purchase quite a few over the last few months. I've purchased quite a few Transformers action figures that I didn't think I was ever going to get the chance to add to my Transformers collection, and being a Hasbro Pulse exclusive figure, the Fossilizer of Tricranius was one such figure I never thought I was going to obtain. So, well, free Tricranius from his packaging in just a moment. So here are those blast effects. again, this is very flimsy construction paper that, like the ones you used to wrap birthday presents in. So you get all these pink and teal colored blast effects here. See if I can try and put them all together for you guys. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video while I do this. Alright, and so for the blast effect X, you got these pink blast effects. These ones originally came with Siege Jetfire. So they're the exact same ones you got with Siege Jetfire, and also, I believe, with, Siege Omega Supreme was the Transformers figure that these blast effects originally came from. I got them mixed up. So yeah, these are the same blast effects that originally came with the Siege Titan class Omega Supreme figure, and also the same blast effects that came with Earthrise Skylinks. Unlike Omega Supreme and Skylinks, where these blast effects were cast in orange, they're now in pink plastic. You also get these two little impact blast effect pieces that I believe these originally came with Earthrise Slitherfang, if I remember correctly. So you got all these blast effects if you want. So if you wanted to, you could, if you can find a Transformers figure with 5mm ports, you can attach these to them. So one thing you can do if you are inclined to do so is put the blast effects here under Tricranius' feet and make it look like he's flying around. So there's that with the blast effects X. And then if you wanted to, there's a port just barely behind Tricranius' head. Unfortunately, it does move him out of the way, so if you wanted to, you can make it look like he has a lava geyser built into his back. Next, those are the pink blast effects. And then you also get these teal colored blast effects. These were the ones that originally came with Siege Jetfire and also the Earthrise Titan class Scorponok figure. So yes, in the past, these larger blast effects were Hasbro just intermixed them between the Commander and Titan class figures from the Siege and Earthrise lines. And so if you missed a Commander class or the Commander class or the Titan class figure from either the Siege or the Earthrise lines, then Hasbro gave you a second chance to get the blast effects. And now with Tricranius, you got a third chance, even though they're no longer in orange plastic. They're now done in teal and also pink. So yeah, here's those blast effects there. Same exact ones as Siege Jetfire and Earthrise Scorponok, just in teal plastic instead of orange. And then of course you also get two smaller other blast effect X pieces as well. One of them unfortunately does come detached, and it's a pain in the neck trying to get it to stay plugged in there. So the first teal blast effect of the two small ones is this one. This originally came with the Siege Battlemaster Caliburst, I believe. Even it's like this exploding end laser type impact weapon. On the original little Caliburst figure, the stem part and then the top part art were sculpted together, but here with Tricranius, there comes separately, and this just wants to keep popping off. It does successfully stay plugged in when I plug it on the back side, but this other side is the only one that has an opening to attach it to a 3mm either a blast effect port. So unfortunately, the official configuration of that does want to come apart. And then you also get this blast effect. I can't remember which Battlemaster this blast effect originally came with. If it was with I can't remember what Battlemaster for the life of me it was. That this blast effect originally came with. Name if it was Firebot or Firebolt, I should say now, or if it was Trigger Happy or Misfire's Battlemaster partner. It was one of the Battlemasters from the Siege line. So yeah, it's now cast in teal plastic as well. So you now have, if you do get Tricranius, you now have a whole plethora of blast effects that you can use if you desire. And if you have the Siege Omega Supreme figure, you can attach this as well and have it look as though Omega Supreme is blasting off, has even more blast off power to it. One thing I've noticed on all of the fossilizers is that they aren't really blast effect compatible unless you attach any of the weapons to the 5mm ports that they come with. So with those blast effects out of the way, let's now take a much closer look at the figure itself, Tricranius. So here he is in all his splendor and glory. I really love the paint layout used here on Tricranius. I've seen other collectors say this, and I'm going to repeat it. I love the way they painted his rib cages, where the bones themselves are black, and then you've got this like a amber yellowish orange paint in between the spaces on his rib cage. So there's Tricranius' face. It's the exact same as Ractonite. Again, there's only one sculpted part to art that differentiates Tricranius from Ractonite apart from the paint job. And I'll show it off when I grab Ractonite in just a second. So that said, if you have Ractonite already, Eddie, almost all of Tricranius here is nothing new. If you have Ractonite, the sculpting is the same, articulation is the same. He does have a ball-jointed head, so he can look up and down slightly. He can rotate left and right 360 degrees. The arms can rotate at the both of the arms can rotate at the shoulders, forwards and backwards 360 degrees. You got a bicep swivel right above the hinge joint at the elbow, and just like Ractonite, Tricranius, unfortunately, instead of having actual robot mode hands, he instead has 5mm pegs at the end of his arm that act as a type of hand. Here on the artwork on the inside of his box, I don't know if you guys noticed it. Probably didn't, since I didn't have it out for long. But if you look right here on the artwork on the inside of Ractonite's box, Hasbro is implying that the fossilized toe bones, which are located right here underneath the arm, those are actually supposed to be the robot mode hands. And so, basically, if those are supposed to double as the robot mode fingers, then unfortunately the way it's sculpted, it almost looks like Tricranius and also Ractonite are holding their hands downward, and it's almost like they're trying to do a Spider-Man impression where, as in, only all of the fingers are sprawled outward. So, Tricranius's the artwork in Tricranius's box confirms that the toes on the fossilizer legs for Tricranius and Ractonite, those are in fact supposed to be the robot mode fingers, which means the 5mm port arguably is supposed to be the robot mode thumb. So that means for the tail club weapon, it's basically a thumb shake weapon. So unfortunately that doesn't really help to display. That doesn't make the figures that doesn't really do anything to try and give these figures proper robot mode hands, is what I was trying to spit out of my mouth, as my mind works faster than my tongue can keep up. So getting back to the articulation, you got a waist swivel, and because as the robot mode pelvis and legs are super small and thin compared to the rest of the robot mode, you can spin Tricranius around 360 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise. As you got universal jointed hips, so the legs can go outwards that far, so Tricranius can do the splits, legs can go forward that far, or they can go backwards that far. Even with that 5mm peg there on the back, there's still enough room that you can get the leg all the way back that far. You do have a swivel joints at the thighs, but that's only because the legs detach there when you transform this from robot mode to fossil mode. You got hinge jointed knees. You do have ankle rockers, but you don't have any articulation in the feet. There's no toes or heel movements. So if you wanted to, you could put Tricranius into a sprawl-legged position. But of the 3 deluxe class fossilizer molds, this one is the physically shortest of them all. So I don't know if I don't really know the benefit other than trying to duck down to avoid being blasted at by an opponent would do giving this figure a wider leg stance and reducing the height. Right. One nice thing about Tricranius is that from what I've seen in the video reviews that I saw before, I actually even got Tricranius off of eBay. The only Maximal faction symbol Tricranius has is right here on its. This is his right side cheek. Eek right there, and because the robot mode head gets hidden in fossil mode, it's really hard to tell. To remember that Tricranius is a Maximal if you decide to display him in your collection transformed into fossil mode. So just be aware of that. And we'll bring out for a comparison here. Here is the figure that Tricranius is repainted and ever so slightly retooled from, which is Ractonite. So the one sculpted part art that is different on Tricranius from Ractonite. If I can, hopefully I can remove it without scraping any paint off or damaging it. And yep, I felt a tiny little piece of paint scrape off. So yeah, some of the tiny little piece of yellow paint just scraped off. There it is on my finger. So just be careful if you decide to remove this. So this is the one sculpted part that's different from distinguishes Tricranius from Ractonite. Is the head frill on Tricranius is the head frill of a triceratops, where Ractonite is a styracosaurus. So if you take the head frills of the fossil mode off, then with Tricranius and Ractonite, you're left with two figures that are the exact same, the only difference being the paint jobs. Now, in the official product photos that I've seen, in the arm that's made from the skull of the fossil mode, on Ractonite it's supposed to be in this configuration where the arm is coming out of the mouth, and on Tricranius it's supposed to be in this position where the arm is coming out of the back of the skull. So if you are so inclined, if you want to further distinguish Tricranius and Ractonite from each other, you can put the arms that are made out of the fossil skull in different configurations. Now, unfortunately, as I'm trying to push it in, Ractonite's head frill doesn't want to go into Tricranius's head frill, but if you wanted to, just all you have to do is, even though the paint jobs don't match at all, it's just a simple matter of swapping out the head frills from the skulls, and Ractonite's doesn't want to go in at all, and Tricranius's is just sitting loosely in there, it doesn't want to stay in place. But if you wanted to switch out the head frills, then voila, Ractonite is now a triceratops and if you can get them to hold in place, Tricranius is now a styracosaurus. So, but yes, other than the head frill, pretty much everything else about Tricranius and Ractonite, it's the exact same head sculpt. The horns at the tops of the skulls are different sculpts as well. As you can see, Tricranius's horns are much longer than Ractonite's. So, yes, again, the head frill and the two horns on it are the only part that distinguishes Ractonite and Tricranius from each other. So that's so it's enough of a distinction that if you're a fanatic of dinosaurs and you know that the Triceratops and the Styracosaurus are different dinosaur species, then you might or might not be put off by the head frills being the only bones of the fossil modes being what separates them from each other. But make no mistake, I do enjoy I still enjoy Tricranius for what he is being mold mates with Ractonite, and I do love that the head frill, even though it's the one new sculpted part, I do love that it's enough of a difference that it does transform him into an entirely different dinosaur species, the fossilized remains of it at least. And yes, I just can't get over how fantastic this paint job is that Ractonite has. Most of the fossilizers have been given either paint jobs that reflect the color schemes that fossilized bones have been found in by paleontologists, or if they have very bright, vibrant paint jobs. paint jobs. They've been given other colors, such as Dracodon being neon green and Scalavor being purple. So Ractonite is currently the only fossilizer that has red and yellow and black as the primary paint job for him. So yeah, I really think it's very eye-catching is what I was trying to allude to. And for a special size comparison in robot mode, here is Tricranius surrounded by all of the other fossilizers released in the Kingdom line. And here again is Ractonite. Here we've got the two core class fossilizers, Dracodon and Vertebrake. We've got the other exclusive fossilizer, Scalavor. Or here is Paleotrex. Here is Transmutate, who is the only fossilizer who is actually based off of an original Beast Wars character and is not an original character created for the fossilizer gimmick in the Kingdom line. And we have the most distinctive of the fossilizers, Wingfinger, who's the only fossilizer that has not been, whose mold has only been used one time. So it's rumored that we're going to get more fossilizers in the Transformers Legacy line, possibly in the Generation Selects line. From what I can tell, since Legacy is focusing on bringing Transformers characters from every previously created Transformers series, it's uncertain if we get new fossilizers, if they're going to be more repaints of the fossilizers that we've already gotten, or if they're going to be brand new molds. From what I've seen with these Transformers with the fossilizers in the Kingdom line, the ones that are new molds are the ones that are released at mass retail, such as Wingfinger, Paleotrex, Ractonite, and also Vertebrake. The repaints tend to be exclusives, Tricranius, Scalavor, and Transmutate, and it's only been repaints from the core class size, such as Dracodon, that have been released at mass retail. But if we do get more fossilizers, I know I'd like to collect them all. So yes, if you include the core class figures of Vertebrake and Dracodon, there were a total of 8 fossilizers released in the Kingdom line. I'm very excited to finally have them all here. And if you wanted to further distinguish Ractonite and Tricranius from each other, in addition to having the skull head arm facing opposite directions, you can swap them out and have them on different arms. That's what I did here to distinguish Transmutate from Paleotrex and Scalavor, as I transformed her into a fan-made robot mode that was made by some fans wanting her to look more like her animation model from the Beast Wars cartoon. But unfortunately it does tend to flop over, and that's one thing I'm noticing here universally with the fossilizers, is that they're very difficult to stand on a flat surface. I don't know if it's because their feet are sculpted to mimic dinosaur bones, and it's very hard for them to stand up. Paleotrex and Wingfinger, who I have in the back of my tray table, they're using the edge of the tray table to actually stand up properly. But all in all, I do enjoy how I finally having Tricranius here to complete my Kingdom Fossilizer collection. So without further delay, we'll get Tricranius transformed into his fossil mode, do a size comparison with the other fossilizers, and wrap up the review, because it's already gone on much longer than I had anticipated. Alright, and so here is Tricranius in his fossil mode. As you can see here, it's a fossilized triceratops with a volcanic paint job. I apologize if I sound like I'm not going to go into too much detailing. That's because I want to try and get the video review wrapped up. But yeah, there is Tricranius in his fossil mode, and he is pretty impressive looking, especially for being a triceratops. So here he is surrounded by the other fossilizers, Ractonite, Dracodon, Vertebrake, and in the back going from this direction, you got Vertebrake, Wingfinger, Paleotrex, and Transmutate. So all in all, not a bad collection of fossilizers. And if you want to, you can mix and match parts between Tricranius and Ractonite if you are so inclined. And another thing I wanted to mention, another shout out to my good buddy TF Collector. He showed off in his review that if you have Wingfinger, Transmutate, and Tricranius, you can combine the 3 of them and you can switch out Tricranius and Transmutate from Ractonite and Paleotrex, and you can do an all Maximal combiner. However, the Triceratops head frill on Tricranius, it's too narrow to plug into the shoulders, so if you want the head frill, you do unfortunately have to use Ractonite. Head frill if you want the robot mode of the Fossilizer Combiner to look a little bigger. But yes, all in all, so for the proverbial question, do I recommend getting Tricranius and adding him to your Transformers collection? I only recommend getting Tricranius if you want to absolutely go completist on having all of the Kingdom Fossilizers in your collection, or if you missed out on Ractonite and you want to get a item you haven't been able to find him, but because Tricranius was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive here in the United States, it has been it is much easier for fans and collectors to get a hold of Tricranius, get a hold of Ractonite instead of Tricranius in that regard. But all in all, I do enjoy this collection of fossilizers that was introduced in the Kingdom line. And so yes, here they all are standing next to each other. Hopefully if we get any future fossilizers that Hasbro and Takara Tomy will release another version of Wingfinger here, that way he doesn't remain the only version of that mold to be used. Who knows if we might even get other core class fossilizers to stand beside Vertebrake and Dracodon. But all in all, I do recommend, if you want to add Tricranius to your collection, I do highly recommend getting him, especially if you have all of the other Kingdom Fossilizers. So thank you guys all so much. This has been, in the TFN Geek, this has been my review of the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Transformers Generation Selects, aka War for Cybertron Trilogy Kingdom Deluxe Class Autobot Beast Power Tricranius. What a mouthful that was. So thank you guys all so much, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.